I actually could go on for longer, but I think that
And we've run out of time for this week's podcast. Thanks for listening, everyone. Tune in next week.
It'll start to sound like a glitch. Hi, kids. I really could have gone for longer, I swear.
That was impressive.
Wasn't it?
It wasn't in tune or anything, but it was held.
Wasn't trying to be in tune. When I was a kid, I used to play that game where you try and swim the length of a swimming pool by holding your breath, but not the like holiday swimming pools, like you know when you go to a gym, like the gym swimming pools. I don't know how long an average length of a
Don't ask me. I'm not
gym
a swimmer
swimming pool is.
or a gymmer.
Or a gymmer. No, I can't remember. Yeah, I used to pride myself on that, and clearly still
I
got
used to pride myself on that.
a great set of lungs. Clearly.
Top 10 lungs that I know.
Yeah, I don't think you could do that, could you, Tom?
Absolutely not.
No.
I got bad lungs, small lungs.
What does a good set of lungs really get you in life? How does why am I winning?
Fitness,
what am
I
I
believe.
winning? Fitness?
Yeah.
Deep breaths, yoga, meditation.
Sure. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. There are smarter people listening going, you idiots, you need bigger lungs for this purpose.
Yeah, probably. Oh well.
I don't know. I think you need to take less breath. So if you're doing fitness, you can go for long without taking a breath. You can get more oxygen into your blood. I don't know.
Maybe I should go into
That sounds
swimming
right.
or athletics, something or other.
You've missed your true calling here, Anya.
Really, really could have had a great
You've
life.
absolutely wasted your time here doing podcasting and radio. And
What the hell?
really, you were just meant to be an Olympic swimmer.
What was I thinking? Oh well, never mind. I'm here now. You know, I'm with you guys, and that's what that matters.
What a wasted talent. Now you're here with me.
How are you, Tom?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright, just plodding through life. We've got officially light at the end of the tunnel from
Yeah, we've been given
Bojo.
so we've been given a time and a date, and then
a few dates.
instantly they're like, well, it might not quite run to time.
They're
And everyone's like,
taking it back.
but I want to go to the pub on the 21st.
Not even the pub, the club. The
Oh.
club is opening on the 21st. Although I did realise that the 21st of June is a Monday.
It's a Monday.
And everyone's like, let's go clubbing. If you're not going clubbing on the 21st of June, I'm disowning you. And I'm like, well, you know, I might actually have responsibility.
Well, I'm at work till 10.
It's a school
What am I
night.
going to do? It's a school night. I'm going to be in bed by 10.
Well, yeah, it's Monday. Jesus.
I
but
wonder how many people are going to book that Monday off from work.
better
And
start
Tuesday, sorry.
booking now. I mean, it's so obvious, isn't it? It's not even like you're.
But can you get in
beating around
trouble
the
for using
bush.
your holiday to party up?
No, it's your holiday, isn't it?
Exactly. Who cares? Book in.
I know people that take holiday just to get on top of life admin.
I do that. I take a day off to sort myself out.
I mean, it is needed every once in a while, but I think that, you know, clubs opening again after a year and a half beats life admin holiday days by a mile. So if you want to
Would
take
you
that
rush
day
back
off,
as soon as
then
you
do
can?
it. What, to the clubs?
Yeah. Let's
Hell,
say Monday
yes.
21st they're open. Still 400 people dying a day.
Yeah.
Clubs are reopen. You still go.
yeah.
You're
if-
crazy.
Well, obviously it depends if they'll have precautions and stuff in
Well,
place.
would they just be like, it's free for all, everyone in?
Nah, they won't. They won't do that.
What do you think the pub scene's gonna look like and the club scene's gonna look like on the 21st?
I think they'll probably have to have some kind of regulation set up, like make sure you've can prove that you have a test before, or you'll have like a vaccine passport, like a digitalized.
I think they'll
vaccine
just do a
passport or
temperature on the
something.
way in. I think that's it. Temperature on the way in, get it.
But that's what they were doing last summer.
Yeah.
So do you know what? I'm down.
And those numbers went right back up.
I am going to enjoy this summer because God only knows that we'll probably be back in some kind of restriction of something in
Really,
winter.
you think there will be a lockdown 4?
Well, they've been chatting about how we're probably going to have to carry on masks throughout winter and
Possibly
working from
forever.
home from winter, etc., etc. Because obviously the virus does fluctuate in hot and cold weather, and I think it is only sensible. I've always said that I'm always down for hibernating during winter. Like, I remember going to work, waking up in the morning, and it's pouring down with rain, freezing cold, and thinking I'd actually just love to work from home today. And I don't.
Have a duvet day.
Yeah, and even still during lockdown, I appreciate that. So I wouldn't actually mind that during winter. But I am going to live my summer up as a result. You know, live your best
Go
life.
for it.
Might as
Go
well.
for
Give
it.
me the green
Don't
light
blame
and
you.
I'm out of here.
Gotta get gone.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Tom.
I think I'd be a bit hesitant day one. I don't think I'd go out that Monday. Maybe that Saturday.
I think most people will go out on the Saturday. I think the Saturday's actually going to be bigger than the Monday, just because it's a Monday. Not everyone can get the day off work, but everyone's going to be having that Saturday off and that Friday off.
I wonder, I don't know enough about the furlough system, if they're stopping the furlough system before reopening pubs and clubs.
I don't actually think they said, did they? They didn't explicitly state.
Because I reckon there are going to be people who are still on that furlough scheme who are then going, well, I haven't got work tomorrow.
But I'm getting paid. Lucky.
So might as well go to the pub.
Sons of, you know who's.
Bees.
Yeah. Anyway, we can dream about it. Stay tuned.
We can dream about it.
We'll give you our thoughts as we edge closer to D-Day.
D-Day.
It's going to be bigger than D-Day. It is. It's going to be like our lifetime.
I don't know if we can make that correlation, to be honest.
Yeah, but you know those pictures of D-Day where on the streets of London everyone was out. Everyone was like climbing the statues in Trafalgar Square, laughing, hugging, crying. Those are the scenes that I imagine on the 21st.
Are we talking about V-Day?
Oh, V-Day! Yeah, see, this is why I shouldn't be allowed back out. I don't know enough about the world.
I think V-Day means Victory Day, does it not?
What was D-Day? D-Day was actually when it happened.
Hmm.
When we went over to France and fought.
May even be Deployment Day.
Oh, you know far too much. This is why.
These are all just speculations. I don't know for fact. But they sound right. And I've said it with confidence. So...
either D-Day or V-Day. I clearly need to brush up on my World War II history knowledge. Either way.
Well, I've got a test for you at the end of the podcast, so just heads up.
Some notes. Anyway, Tom.
Yes, Anya.
I need to pick your brain before we get into the podcast episode. I need to know your I'm an adult but for this week, please.
Okay, so I've said this. I should probably start it the professional way.
Yeah, probably.
I'm an adult but, Anya.
Yes, Tom.
I am the worst when it comes to present buying.
Okay.
So I'll go to a shop or I'll look online for a present for someone and go, I could get that for me. I could buy myself one of those. Mm-hmm. And then I don't get them a gift, and instead I've bought myself several things.
Happens to the
awful
best
habit.
of us.
Awful habit. And I recently got gifted a blue neon lightning bolt because I thought that looked sick. Thank you very much, Anya, for buying me that for my birthday.
No, your big fat head is blocking it.
I don't know which way to go because the other way spoils the surprise.
It's okay.
It's there.
Yeah,
it's really hard to do it backwards with your finger. So anyway, I was like, oh, I could get my friend this, could get them that, and then I come across a dinosaur neon lamp.
Oh dear.
And I go, that is cool. That is cool and something I don't need but want. Mm-hmm. And so, Anya.
So, Tom.
I bought myself this little guy.
Now
it
kind of
looks like a turtle. It kind of looks like a tortoise.
It looks like a tortoise, but with a really long tail. It's had some kind of malfunction there.
So I now have a growing collection of neon lamps, which is so cool.
And I
still haven't got them. And you start. Thank you for causing me to have an addiction.
Very cool though. And if you want to see what we're on about, then go and check out this podcast on our YouTube at Audiobox, and you'll see.
And it'll probably be on our Instagram story at We Are Audiobox.
Yes, we'll put it up.
That's if we clip this up and put it up on the story.
Yeah, we'll see.
So I'm an adult, but I work so hard on them and they don't get used. I'm an adult, but I bought myself a dinosaur lamp, which kind of looks like a nightlight for a child.
I quite like it because...
Thank you. I quite like it too.
I think they're like adult versions of fairy lights. And I think neon lights are very in at the minute. And they're quite pricey. Like some of them are really pricey. Top end.
Are you trying to say,
lights.
Tom, they're quite I did treat you on your birthday. I did spend a lot of money on your birthday present, Tom.
Well, you have to treat the people that you want to continue making to work. That doesn't
what?
You
Good.
have to make nice with the
great.
people that do work with you, because if you don't,
You were going to say for you. You were going to say for you.
Weird partnership, Tom.
But I am quite worried that it's right next to my other dinosaur, Rodeo Rex.
Throwback with Rodeo Rex.
I'm quite worried that it's going to become a bit too dinosaur in my room.
It's going to be a Jurassic Park theme.
Yeah, that is my biggest fear. But at the moment, my room's got 2 dinosaurs and looks sick.
Looks amazing. I'm happy for
How many dinosaurs do you have? None? What are you, lame?
No. I have no dinosaurs. I don't even think there's a dinosaur in this house. Not one. Well, my dad.
That is lame. But you can't say that.
Don't...
Can't say that. Anyway, Anya.
Anyway, Tom.
Have you done anything recently that makes you null for being an adult?
Yeah, I'm a Dumbo. I think it
Agreed.
Could
Moving
be,
on.
It could be karma as well. It could be a little bit of karma. So I booked my car in to go get fixed because both of the windows on both of the front doors are broken and won't go up and down, and it wasn't a problem over winter because you don't need the window down, so it's fine. But then was out on a drive the other day, and the window just decided to fall down mid-drive, wouldn't go fall down, so it's completely open, wouldn't close, so, you know, had to bin bag up the hole in the window.
That's stressful that time. Mm-hmm.
So stressful. Booked it in to get into the garage, but the earliest appointment that I could get was a garage that is slightly outside of where I live, which is naughty. But I booked it because it's urgent and I need it done, so went and drove over to the garage, which is slightly out of the catchment area for lockdown right now. And on my way
breaking
the rules, don't worry, karma came and bit me right in the bumhole because
Gross.
On my drive over there, I drove over the biggest nail ever and punctured my tyre, had to spend an extra £100 on top of the 2 broken windows, and it was just kind of like, this is the epitome of adulting. You try and do one thing productively, get it fixed straight away, try not to think about the pain that you're going through because money, and then that happens. So you then had to get a new wheel, new tyre. And then they were like, oh, this is something that I learned about. It's always about cars recently. Me and my car, I'm learning.
I can't relate because child.
Apparently when you change one tyre on one side, you have to change the other tyre on the other side so it evens it out. I don't know whether they...
You think you've just been conned?
I didn't. I was just like, that kind of makes sense, but also no, because I'm not made of money. But I don't know whether... No, I didn't do it, but I don't know whether it was a sales tactic or whether there's some truth in that. Like whether you're
asking the wrong person, but I assumed a tyre's a tyre. As long as they're airing both of them, you're fine.
Right? But apparently, you know, the tread on one can be less so it can tilt the car.
I think they're just...
I was just looking at him like...
I think they're trying to scon you.
Yeah, like you've already cheated me out of an extra tyre today. You're not getting another one.
They didn't cheat you out of an extra tyre. You ran over a nail.
Life cheated me out of an extra 50 quid because...
Life's after you.
Because I did a naughty and drove slightly further out than I was meant to.
Well, that's all you could do. I'm not against that.
Right? I mean, it was essential.
It was essential.
What can you do?
Well, here's a fun story of my week. So my little ginger cat hasn't been eating for 2 days.
Cornflake.
Didn't eat a single thing. Was just living his life, not eating.
Aww.
So it caused stress for the Humphrey family.
Hunger strike.
So we took him to the vet. We're like, I don't know what's going wrong. He's not eating. He hasn't eaten for 2 days. He's just kind of be like moping around because he's got no energy. And she goes, oh, that's really weird. Puts some food down in like a bowl and gives it to him. Goes, nom 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 nom. And we just go, well, he hasn't eaten for 2 days in front of us. And he's just made us look like tits in front of the vet. It's like, why? What did you gain from this?
This is why I love cats.
I was just like, what? We've given you cat food, people food, everything else in between. And he goes, no, I can't eat this. So we're like, oh, I might be dying. Take him to the vets. Oh no, I was just bored of eating from that bowl at home.
That's so funny. Wait,
God, it made us look like
I've got an idea. It could be because a previous cat of ours, rest in peace, Eric. He didn't.
Eric?
Eric. This is
What
the
a
first
name.
cat that I ever had in my life. He decided at 12 years old that he didn't like plastic bowls anymore, and he would only eat out of metal bowls. So I wonder if you've tried
We've got
that.
a porcelain bowl. We've got a porcelain bowl for that
Maybe
cat.
switch it up.
Maybe to plastic, cheap down.
Maybe he's just
We're just
thinking,
like-
like casual Tuesdays and,
But we were like worried, we were like
plate.
stressed, like what's wrong with you? Why aren't you eating? Taking to the vet. Oh, I could eat here.
That's wonderful. I love it.
Better decor. He's just like, I'm not. The feng shui in this kitchen that I can't eat here. I can't eat here. I'm gonna have to eat at the vets.
That's what I'm going to
So
do.
then-
I'm just going to refuse to eat in my house anymore and demand the restaurants open.
You just go, bad energy here, bad energy. Can't eat, can't eat. But then we bring him home and like he goes straight to his food bowl. It's like, oh, I can actually eat. I'm like, none for the past 2 days. Oh,
I don't know, Tom.
stupid.
Cats are just great
Like,
things.
he's lucky he's cute, but that's annoying.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Because the vet was probably like, why have these people brought in a cat? Did they just want free food? Because it's going to cost them in the end.
Yeah, surely a vet visit's like 60 odd quid.
Yeah,
That's like
it's more than a
a
pouch.
£60 meal right there.
That's steak money.
Like, he just wants to eat out. Like, I can relate. I don't blame him.
Just wanted to eat out. Such a stressful cat. I don't get it.
Spoiled.
I don't get it. But yeah, he's now home and fine, living the dream. But
Oh, good. I'm
2
glad.
days didn't eat.
Oh, lovely. Love cornflake. What a fella.
God.
Anyway, Tom.
Yes.
I don't know why this always happens when I record with you, but it's
It
frozen.
froze.
And now it's not frozen. I have downloaded it, so we're all good. So let's crack on. So today, Tom, we are talking about death. as
Oh,
a-
everyone's favourite topic.
a rounded topic. I think we're both agreed that we're not really sure where to even
About death. What is it? Who knows?
but
Is it
even, like,
real?
even where to kind of begin or what route to go down. I think we're just gonna see where life and the topic of death takes us. You know?
See where this episode dies.
Yeah, see where you
Too
know,
morbid? I
when
don't
you
know
want
how
to put
where
the
the
nail in the
line's drawn.
coffin.
No. Any other pun reference you can throw out there?
I'll have a little meander as we
Okay, just
go
bring it
along.
up down the line. Just bring it up down the line. But yeah, this was brought on because I thought Cornflake was going to die this week, and he didn't. He just didn't want to eat from his food bowl.
It's a
So
miracle.
I've been thinking about death. And it's weird how death affects people differently.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I somewhat, this is going to sound awful, but I somewhat came to terms with the fact that Cornflake might be dying.
Mhm.
So when we took him to the vets, I wasn't all shaking like, oh no, what if they tell me bad news? Because I was expecting bad news, not that he was just a prick. Not that he's just an annoying cat.
Yeah.
But I kind of came to terms with things, and I don't think I'd be able to do that with a human life or anything. I think it's also because I'm like slightly disconnected with Cornflake because he dislikes me and bullies me, so it's not like a good friendship him and I have.
Right, yeah.
But I'm not great with death. I do skirt around it. Like when people's family or friends die, I'm not great at consoling people
Yeah,
because
no,
I
agree.
don't know what to do.
I think that is probably the same for a lot of people, especially in Western cultures. Like, you think about in Asian culture, they very much look at yin and yang and how, you know, the white is life and then the black is death, and having the two together balances it out. Like, you can't have one without the other, and they talk about it openly and they're very at peace with that and the way that works. But for us over here, we don't really like to talk about death. It's a very
We don't talk about anything. We're very polite.
topic.
We talk about weather and that's about it. Maybe sports if you're into sports. That's
all
about it.
lockdown, cats.
Yeah, just small talk. England is made up of small talk. Is how
We're
I think
very
it's
good
seen.
at it. Very, very
We're
good
very
at
good
it.
at small talk and politeness. So we
Yeah.
don't say, if you say, how am I? I'll be like, oh, I'm good. Secretly, so many issues back home. People dying left, right and centre. Cat who's not eating. and might even have depression. Who knows? It's one of those types of things that you just go, yeah, I'm fine. How are you? Instantly deflect, pass it on to the next person. So yeah, death does, I think, come under one of those uncomfortable topics that people don't like to bring up.
Yeah.
On the whim.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I also agree with what you were saying before about how everyone deals with it in different ways, but I also think there's something else to say about everyone deals with death differently depending on who it is and what circumstances. And yeah, because I mean, you said that you kind of came to terms with cornflake dying, and I know it's completely different if it was a human to start off and somebody that you're very close with, but I think, you know, you do, I mean, touch wood, I haven't had anyone that's passed away in my life that I'm really, really close to, like immediate family and friends. But I've heard people say, you know, that their close relative is passing away and that they're at peace with it and that they'd rather them no longer be in pain. I think that's something that is quite spoken about a lot when it comes to deaths and long-term illnesses. And I think it very much depends, doesn't it, on the circumstance. Sometimes you can feel okay with it ending, and sometimes it just comes as a complete shock and it takes you back a whole mile sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. I do think it's probably a I don't want to make it sound like a scheduled item, but if someone that you see regularly dies or passes or whatever, it kind of ruins your schedule. It ruins your setup for things. And then once that day's gone, your whole routine is kind of messed up.
Yeah.
I think that's a large part of someone's death, is that you now don't have that person there for that certain thing. And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with when it comes to coming to terms with things. Because I think it's like if you watched a TV show every Thursday and then it stops being on every Thursday. Your Thursdays are now just free and you go, oh, do you remember that time where we used to watch that TV show?
Yeah.
I think it's stuff like that that makes you think of the person who's passed.
You're missing something. Like, essentially... Oh. No, as in, like...
I am?
No. I just realised how you interpreted that. As in, you're missing, like, if, for example, Love Island stops, which I've had to go through that trauma many, many times when the season stops. And I have no longer got my favourite TV programme.
You're tearing up there, Anya. There's no, I can't.
At 7 p.m. on ITV, it's no longer on. Happens to me pretty much every other... Well, summer ends in, like, September. No, it ends in, like, August. Anyway, semantics. You don't have that in your life, that routine.
I don't think the calendar's semantics.
It's not there anymore. And I know that I'm comparing Love Island to someone that you love dying, and that's awful.
I put it there.
But I do understand that analogy in terms of you no longer have something in your life that is routinely and regularly there. But it's so much more than that, because that person had, well, hopefully a lot of the time, hopefully everyone has a great impact on your life. Yeah. And if it's someone you're really close to, that person probably has an astounding impact on your life. So not having them there anymore... it's just a void. Like, it is just a void. And how do you fill that void? And everybody is so unique. You don't come across a carbon copy of anybody ever. No. You might get similarities in people, but you're never ever going to be able to replace that person, especially because, you know, you create memories of people, and those past times that you have with people, you can't recreate them with new people. No one's going to remember that in-joke that you made 5 years ago when you went on that holiday together. So people are really special, and when they leave this life, it's really hard to take on board, especially in our culture when we never talk about it, and then it happens and you're like, how do I deal with this?
Internally screaming, I need help, I don't want to tell anyone this.
It really disrupts your life.
It does disrupt your life. Do you think, so they often say when someone close to you dies, you jump into work so you stay busy and you forget, you won't never forget the person, but it kind of puts them to the back of your mind whilst you're focusing on work. Do you think that's something you would do, or do you think you'd take the time off to recover?
I think I'd need to take the time off to recover, but then I think I would jump into work and be like, I need a distraction, otherwise I'm
so you said
crazy. Yeah, but I think I would do the latter first. Like, I would take the time off first.
You take time to recover.
First.
I think I'd jump into work to try and forget it and just keep myself busy.
Yeah, interesting. Different
stay
coping
away from
mechanisms.
being home, seeing the spot where they would be every day, that type of thing. I just want to move on.
Yeah.
How would you feel about going about... This is probably why I'd jump into work, is I wouldn't want to tell my manager or my boss or my colleagues or whoever. I don't want to say, oh, by the way, X person died. Because I'm not a fan of that that instant flurry of, oh, I'm so sorry, you okay?
People
Is everything
walking
okay?
on eggshells, yeah.
Because I don't need that. I just want people to carry on with their life like I would be a normal person. I don't want the whole, take your time, do whatever, blah, 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 blah. So a friend of mine died probably a year and a half ago now. And I booked the day off for the funeral. And people were like, oh, have you got anything fun planned for that day? And I was like, oh, you know, just things, keeping busy, just bits and bobs. No one knows to this day. No one knows I went to a funeral just because I didn't want to have the conversation of, yeah, my friend passed away, but it's fine. Because I didn't want to have that conversation. I was like, work, people, personal life, two separate boxes.
Yeah.
And that's how I wanted to keep it. But I think I also knew that it was a friend that was slightly more detached.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have like a breakdown down the line, like talking to people. Say, if it was like an immediate family, like mum or dad, like, oh, they passed. That groundbreaking. Now I'd bring that up all the time. But I didn't want to say to people, by the way, friend died. Not in tomorrow. We'll be in the day after. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Would you feel comfortable telling people that someone, like a work colleague, that someone has died, so you won't be in tomorrow?
I've actually had this experience, and I did tell them
Okay.
that because I mean, did you tell your line manager? Like, did you tell them that you?
No, I just booked the day off. Just booked the day off.
See, I think that if anything, it's understandable, and people don't question it. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, of course, like what?
Well, I think
of course.
I'm also freelance, so if I'm not in a day, I don't have to give like a reason. I don't think you have to give in a reason for any holiday.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I think because funerals are quite short notice, that you might need to be like, hey, really sorry about the short notice funeral attending to. That might be different. But as a freelancer, it's like, I'm giving you 3 days warning, by the way, not in on Friday.
Yeah, I think
that's all I need to give.
But I do, and I think I would tell the manager or the team that I work with, and I have done in the past. But I also do understand the idea of, you know, it's a really sad thing, and ultimately you don't want everything in your life to be surrounded by sadness. Like, sometimes you need to have one space that actually doesn't know about it and is acting normal around you.
That's what I didn't want the sympathy.
Yeah.
I didn't want the constant sympathy about what I'd gone through.
Because
Probably
then
the best way to phrase it.
It's a constant reminder, because they're constantly reminding you with their behaviours and actions and words that, like, you should be upset right now. When actually, sometimes you've been upset for 3 hours and then you want to actually go out and have a laugh and not be wallowing. And I think that's something which is really hard to comprehend. And I think a lot of people get confused about it. Like, oh, is she actually really sad that person died? Because she's not acting like it. And then that's really frustrating, because it's like grief comes in ebbs and waves. Like, sometimes you can feel happy for like 2 weeks about it and actually quite content and okay. And then 2 weeks later, you could have a nervous breakdown, not be okay, and not want to step out of your bed because you just want to be consumed by it, and the grief consumes you.
You just want to be left alone by the wild and just let you have a day.
Yeah, grief is strange.
Grief is strange.
Very strange. And I think it's different every time, isn't it? I know that every individual probably has a way of coping with it, and probably has like an overall way of going about it and their initial reactions and whatnot. But I think it's different for every person, in every circumstance, in every different part of your life. It's always going to be unique for each person in your life that goes, how you react to it, because It's not going to be the same way they die, the same situation, your closeness with them, etc.
If you worked in the news industry
Mm-hmm.
and your friend dies, let's say, of suicide, they take their own life, would you be worried to tell someone in the news industry that in case a story like suicide comes up and they go, are you okay to do it? Are you okay to work on this story?
Not
Do you understand the
really.
question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's how my friend passed. He took his own life.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to tell people from work that in case we're covering a suicide story and my manager goes, hey, Tom, it's okay if you don't want to do it. But with the talking about suicide, it might be a bit of a sensitive subject. I didn't want to have any conversation regarding it. I just wanted to move on with my life, my career life professionally, and carry on moving. So that was my thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be a different reason as to why you react in different ways and go about dealing with it for each different person. But like, I totally understand that reason. And I think any reason, like even just the reason of I genuinely just don't want to talk about it, or and that's why I'm not going to bring it up, or I genuinely just don't want people to know. Like, all of those things are okay reasons. Like, they're all valid. Just have to do you and just go with your gut feeling, I think, because there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to what you're meant to do after. There's no handbook for it, is there?
There should be.
Well, it's
Write up his
difficult,
handbook,
isn't it?
Anya. Make millions.
Yeah.
But how are you at consoling people when something bad happens, just in general? Like, doesn't necessarily have to be death. Someone's got some bad news. Oh no, I failed an A level. Are you good at consoling me, or you're like, hello, Tom, you did great.
I think I'm quite good because I quite like to, but then also I'm not, in the sense that I quite like to put a band-aid over it and, like, I don't know.
Move on.
No, not even that. Like, try and make that person happy. Like, I don't know, buy them something, like flowers or something to cheer them up, like chocolates. Not a car, we're not there yet with the salary. Or just like try and give advice. Like, I'm very much like a giver. When people are upset, I'm like trying to stick a band-aid over it by like give. Here's all my attention. I will be here for you.
Yeah.
Whilst actually sometimes that person doesn't even want that. Sometimes they want space. Sometimes they want
answers. They don't just like we said with the episode the other day.
But that's my initial reaction, is to be like, oh my god, this person needs me. Here's everything I've got. When actually I haven't.
Take what you need. Yeah.
Some people might love that and be like, this is what I need. I really need someone to shower me right now with love because I'm devoid of it. Exactly. Yeah. But some people actually need to take a step back and be like, what do you need? Instead of being like, I've got this. Bam. It's like all my affection. How are you with it?
Being brought up around the...
Sorry, I think we lagged for a second. I started chatting.
We did, like, I thought you were playing something. It really threw me. That was weird.
Let me ask you the question. How are you in terms of consoling people and reacting to other people that are bereft?
Bad. Bad. I'm bad with anything, and my phone's going off. I'm bad with anything like that going because I'm British. I like to keep myself to myself. I like my friends to keep themselves to themselves, and we just have some jolly good times together. So I'm not there with...
That was so British. We just have some jolly good times together.
I'm really not great with it. So it's a whole, I'm sorry, pal. Better days ahead. And they go, I can't see them in the immediate future, and go,
I'm sorry, pal.
So I've got that type of friendship. And I've also got the type of friendship where I'm like, what would they want? Would they just want space? And I don't talk to them for like 3 days.
So you're the opposite. You just ditch.
It's not necessarily ditch.
I know.
It's that I think people often want to be left alone so they can just accept it and come to terms on their own. Mm-hmm. And so I'm always stuck in this position of how much conversation do they want? Like let's say at the moment we're in lockdown. Someone knows someone who's just passed, and they've said, "Oh, by the way, my friend's died." I can't go, "Oh, do you want to meet up?" And because we can't, I can go, "Oh, do you want a phone call?" But they'll be like, "Oh, not really. Didn't want to talk." So do I carry on sending them memes like I normally would?
Yeah.
Or do I just leave them until they start feeling better and wait for them to send me memes? So it's like, "Hey, I'm ready and back on the market to chat."
Back on the market
Put like a little available sticker on, so it's like, hey, if you want to send me anything, send me something. I need someone to tell me what they want.
I think it might, this is going to sound awful, it might get better as we get older and this happens more regularly, because it's unusual and should stay unusual for not too many, but for a lot of deaths to be happening around us at the age that we are. And it's really unfortunate and tragic that we've both had to go to a funeral of someone our age. But hopefully maybe with more experience, I know that comes across awfully, but I hope that everyone understands it in the nature that I'm trying to say it, that with lack of experience of how to deal with it and without that handbook, it's often hard to navigate how to deal with it yourself and how to help others that are going through it, especially if you haven't ever had anyone in your life, count your lucky stars, dying around you. It's like, how do you do that? Because you can't relate to it. It's just like, it hasn't happened to you, which is a great thing, but it's also like you're missing that life experience, so you can't really attend to that person.
It's also not similar to like a breakup. I was trying to, in my head, rationalise it as a breakup, but it's not. What you'd say if someone broke up, you're like, oh, don't worry, you're better than them, or they didn't deserve you. If they go, oh, my brother passed, I go, don't worry, you're better than them, you don't deserve them, you can do better. It just doesn't land the same way.
No, it really doesn't. Don't say that.
Yeah, never say you're better without someone in your life. That does not go well. But yeah, it's this. I'm bad. We've said in the past I'm bad at using my emotions and telling people I need help and whatnot. So now I'm having to use my feelings and emotions to connect with someone else. That's a nightmare. That is a straight up nightmare.
Yeah.
If I can't say, oh, did you watch that film the other day? And they go, no, my friend passed. I go, you should watch it. I really do struggle because I'm not good at being serious.
Yeah, it's difficult.
That's not my purpose, I don't think, is to be a serious person. And so when someone goes, oh, I've had a bad day, I go, oh, I'm sorry, here's a joke. Sometimes when someone's dead, you don't want a joke. No. That's not going to help you move the situation.
I wonder if it's a different situation if you are a strong believer in afterlife and, well, the life after death, which is exactly the same thing, just in a different
It's still afterlife.
way. Exactly. But I wonder if someone's a big believer in heaven, for example, if it's almost easier to deal with it, and then also easier for friends and family around to be there for them. Because I imagine, and putting it out there, I'm not religious. I wouldn't say I'm an atheist, but I'm not religious. I'm kind of like in that I'm not really decided yet stage still in my life. I think that's
agnostic, is it not?
Is it? Is there a name for it? I've never heard of that.
I believe
agnostic. Well, there you go.
I'm not agnostic.
Sure. Okay, we won't run with
that. We'll run it up. We'll say you're agnostic.
I'm agnostic. If not,
I'm somewhere similar.
New term.
Because it's not a new term. I know it's a word. I just don't know if it's a word I want to use. But I'm stuck in this position where I got brought up Catholic and Christian, but with more science coming into your life as you grow up, and more people with opposing opinions, you're there like it does rock your faith. You're like, oh, I don't know, because I've always grown up believing you die and you go to heaven or hell, depending on your life decisions. Hopefully it's heaven, but most likely for me, hell. We but then you learn more about science and evolution, and you're like, well, we were never told that through the church. You were told through the church made man and woman.
Yeah.
They live their lives, spread. And you're now here. And I didn't know if that was a bang on my side or your side.
My side.
And so then you learn more about science and evolution. You're like, oh God, is there what is real? And that kind of like shatters your whole mind space of what's happens with your afterlife. I would love to believe there's an afterlife. I'd love to believe that everyone who's died in my life will regroup in the end.
Yeah, I'm the same. I was brought up Christian. not
Snap.
strongly in terms of my family, but my primary school was a Christian school. I was christened when I was younger, probably just because it was another party that my parents could throw, social butterflies.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, when I was younger, I liked to believe that there was a heaven and there was a hell. But then I remember going to my Christian youth group, and they'd have like an hour-long chat about God, and that was probably their way of trying to get us more cemented within church and our faith and whatnot. And I remember there was a question that got brought up about would your family go, if you ended up in heaven, is it definite that your family will end up in heaven with you? And the answer was no, because it's dependent on their actions throughout life. But in my head, I just couldn't comprehend why anyone would say no to my family. And I didn't understand why, if God was amazing and loving and had his arms stretched open to everyone, why he wouldn't say yes to my family when I love them so much. And for a kid, that's really hard to understand. So I think ever since then, I've always questioned whether it's true or not. And like you say, science comes into it and all of that. But anyway, I wonder, like, do you have an idea in your head of what afterlife could be, / like, what would be your ideal if there was an afterlife?
What? So I can't fathom what an afterlife would actually be, because you haven't seen it, haven't been it. There's no scientific proof that it exists. No one knows if there's actually a thing. But I would like there to be a heaven, and it be a place where you like in all the films. That's the only way I can really rationalize it, is you go up to a cloudy place that looks somewhat like the world, and you get reintroduced to your family, friends. You get like a tour of the area, and they're like, "Oh, this is where you live, blah 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 blah. That's your mum over there." You go, "Oh, I haven't seen you since you passed." That type of thing. But it is really hard to imagine what heaven would actually be like without proof.
Like The Good Place. Have you not watched Netflix?
I have watched The Good Place, but The Good Place isn't heaven. I haven't finished The Good Place because I got bored of it.
Yeah, it gets a bit repetitive. But
as soon as they broke out from The Good Place, lost interest.
Yeah, it's difficult to keep up with The Good Place. We have this commercialised vision in our head of what heaven looks like in the fluffy clouds, and everyone's happy and all your wildest dreams and fantasies are true in heaven, blah, 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 blah. But in my mind, it actually makes a lot more sense that reincarnation is an actual...
Like rebirth, or where you come back as something else.
Where you come back as something or somebody else. Like, I definitely do... I think a lot of afterlife thoughts and theories are all about how the body that we're in right now is just a vessel, and it's actually the soul that makes you who you are, and that your soul lives on in eternity or just in a different life, or it gets reincarnated. So you're the same soul, but it's just, it goes somewhere else, or it becomes a new reincarnation of something else. And I think that makes a lot more sense in my mind in terms of like my beliefs and morals. We all know that I like the idea of karma and doing good in your life, and the universe gives back to you. And I do think there's something to be said with reincarnation in terms of, if you've had a good life and you've learnt a lot, you'll reincarnate into something more superior than your previous life. So I hope that I'm doing a great job, and that in future, my next life, I will have a more prosperous life, and I will evolve into an even better, more superior human. But if I haven't learnt a lot and I've done really bad things in my life, I might regress into an... like, I don't know, an ant, to learn something that I messed up in my human life beforehand.
Right, so would you say human life is the middle ground?
I would say human life in terms of reincarnation is like the more superior ground, and then, because obviously humans are the most superior race in terms of like the animal kingdom.
So you think you and I have already done quite well in our past lives?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, high five.
High five, everyone, for being humans. But I also do believe it in terms of, I believe people's afterlife stories that are about reincarnation more so than I believe when people were like, oh, when I died I saw a bright white light and then I came back to life and I saw my brother in heaven. I less so believe in those stories than I believe in the stories of, when kids start talking about their former life. And there was a video that I watched the other day about a young kid who was like not 2 years old, but like it was a video that was talking about when their kid was 2 years old, and he started talking about the 9/11 building, not 9/11 building, the Twin Towers and the whole 9/11 disaster, and how he was standing on the table and was like, look mommy, I'm standing on the table like I did 2 years ago, it's hot. And the mum was like, what are you talking about? There's nothing hot on the table, get off the table. And he was like, no,
terrifying as heck.
This is how I died, mummy, this is how I died. It got really hot and then I decided to jump out the window like an angel. And she was like, what the hell? And then he apparently talked about how it was 9/11, and he said 9/11, and she was like, what are you talking about? And like, how can a 2-year-old know something like that? Like, it's unfathomable. And there's so many stories about that, and I think that's really interesting. But obviously as you grow up older, those memories decrease and you're unable to retrieve them. But I think it's really interesting, and I believe those stories more so than it makes more sense to me in my head.
It makes more sense to me that you die and then you come back as a baby and the cycle just continues. That does make sense to me because we can't quite picture where a heaven would be.
Yeah.
Like, when you grow up, you believe the earth is in the middle, above the clouds is heaven, and below the clouds is hell. But we've gone through those clouds and planes and rockets.
Yeah.
And we know there isn't this secret land up there. So I think because of that, it makes you skeptical about where and what heaven actually is. So I'm more inclined to agree with you that when you pass, you get reborn as a child or as a baby, surely. But yeah, you get reborn as a baby and then you start your cycle again. I like that idea because that's a nicer idea than, oh, well, I guess this is blackness now for the rest of eternity.
Exactly. Like, surely that can't be the end of it. But then I've spoken to some people and it's like, but surely that's the end of it. Like, what's the meaning in life? And some people that I know are like, there's no meaning in life. Like, that's what you figure out in the end, that it just is what it is. But that doesn't...
I would be livid.
I can't compute that.
If I live for 85 years just
no
to find out.
meaning.
By the way, it's just a fun laugh to have on the way.
It was just a simulation, the simulation theory. We could do a whole episode on the simulation theory. If you don't know it, Google it.
We are Audio Box. Tweet us at We Are Audio Box if you want us to do a whole episode on is this a simulation or not.
Yeah, fun times. But yeah, the only thing that I will say about reincarnation that doesn't quite add up, but it can do in my other theory, which is probably a really dumb theory and somebody can probably outsmart me with it, is if our souls are constantly rebirthed into new living things, no matter what it is, how come the population keeps growing? Do new souls keep entering?
Surely, yes, new souls will keep entering.
But maybe...
Like those ants that have upgraded.
Yes, but you know how the population's gone up considerably over, like, you know what I mean? But my theory is that you know how more animals are becoming endangered? Maybe it's just because...
So the whole ant theory going into a different body makes sense.
Yeah, maybe now just more ants did a really good job, so are actually becoming humans. So that's why our population's going up. I know it's dumb, but we like to try and outsmart the world.
I think watch Soul, Anya. I think watching Soul will help you a lot.
I've watched Soul.
Great film.
Yeah.
Great film. So there is a purpose to life. Everyone's got their own purpose. You just have to find it.
And mine is podcasting.
I'm sorry, same. I'm
joking. Sorry, let me say that again. Mine is podcasting.
And so is mine.
Anyway, Tom, I think
Anya,
we should discuss what our lovely listeners said about death. So we put up a poll over on our Instagram at We Are Audiobox about this episode, about death. just to get your weigh in on it, because we like to hear what you guys think and feel about our topics that we discuss. So the first one that I asked Tom was, would you rather there was life after death or wasn't life after death at all? And I mean, the majority vote was that most people would rather that there was life after death, which I think, you know, that does make sense. I think the human race is hopeful, and a lot of us can't fathom what the reason of this whole thing is if there isn't anything after it. Like, it
if you're
doesn't.
just here for a silly time for 85 years.
It does, and a stressful time sometimes for 85 years. It doesn't make sense. So 84% said that they wish that they would rather there was life after death, but 16% said that they wish that there wasn't life after death. Which I know the majority still swings in what my faith in humanity thought and is, but I just still can't fathom that 16% that would rather there was nothing, and that it just ends there, full stop, no comma.
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Go on then.
So, I think it might be like how we spoke about the other week, how there's no second life, do everything this time.
Yeah.
Have your best life this life, because there is no afterlife. Where if you think of there being an afterlife, you'll be like, I'll do everything I can this time, but I can also hold back, because if I don't, I'll do it the next time.
Yeah.
Or in the afterlife. Whereas I think a lot of people might be seeing it as a realist perspective and be like, there is no afterlife, there's no point fantasizing about an afterlife if you just can't imagine one.
Yeah, but this is would you rather. This is if you had a choice. They would rather there was nothing.
I think these people might just be crazy.
Well, they're just not having a great life. But you never know, heaven might be really fun. They say that it's fun in the movies.
They might have churros.
Yeah, who doesn't like churros?
I love churros.
Oh, they're so bad for you, though. So
Everything's
bad.
bad for you. Everything's bad for you.
Good that's as good as bad for you. Hope heaven's not bad for you.
Yeah, probably will be.
Ultimate.
Super fattening.
So, Tom, the next would you rather I asked was, would you rather know how and when you die, or the latter, don't know how and when you die?
I know which one I voted for, because I voted for it, and I said I prefer not to know.
Yeah, I'm the same.
But this is again with the risk episode. If the door's not there, no chance of me peeking behind. I won't take the risk. I won't know what the game plan is.
See, I just don't think I'd want to know, because then it's like a constant countdown, isn't it, in your mind? But then do you make the most out of your life a little bit more?
That's the other thing.
Or do you just get really freaked out?
I've only got 16 more years. What if you open the book and it says 12 more hours? You're like,
yeah,
come on.
Can't even get on a flight.
I was looking for at least
in lockdown.
24 years.
Come on.
Boris ruining everything. Ruining my life plans.
No, I agree with you. I think maybe it would force me to live my life to the fullest, but then I just don't think that is a true. It's not how life is set up to be. Like, we must not know for a reason, you know. We all know that it's unlikely we're going to live past 110. Well,
so as long as you make you've died from 110, you're fine.
You went very weird just then.
Hey,
you're lagging.
Insulting.
You're lagging, and
can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I couldn't hear you just then, and you went there, and I was like, okay, yeah, cool.
Well, that's because I'm drunk.
I wish. We love drunk Tom. 21st of June.
So can you hear me?
I can, but I think you're still lagging. Am I lagging?
I think there's a delay.
I think we're catching up.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to count to 3 and say 3 when you think I'm going to say 3.
Okay.
1, 2,
3, 4, 5. We can count to 10.
I think there might be a delay on the line.
All right. I think we're good.
Okay, we'll run it.
All right.
What were we talking about?
You were saying something about living past 100.
Yeah, so it's unlikely statistically that you're going to live past 110. So everyone knows that essentially in your mind you've got make as much as you can do before 110.
Yeah, true.
What I don't want is that window to get smaller by knowing, Tom, you're going to die at 64 ice skating.
Yeah, I think it would just give me crippling anxiety and then I wouldn't be able to get on with my life.
Do you think if you knew how you were going to die, you'd be able to change it?
No, because if it's like with
or
this,
do you think that your internal change will already have made the first change?
Yeah, and I think that if life wants you to die in this way, I think it will find and navigate a way around so it catches you by surprise. Anyway, I don't think life is set up. I don't think life is set up like that. I don't know why life is set up like it is. Either way, I don't want to know how I die. I just don't, because what if it's something awful? And I'd rather just be caught by surprise, and then the surprise only lasts for like a couple of seconds and then it's over.
I want heart attack from donuts. That's the game plan. Heart attack from eating too many donuts. One too many times, Tom. Can't have 12 every day. Pass
away in my sleep type of gal. And with some time so I can say goodbye to people and come to peace. Nice and slow. But I also wouldn't want to know the date just because I think it actually would just give me anxiety. And
it's on my birthday.
You know, like when you're when you're really angry at someone and you just want to be angry at them. Imagine hanging over your head is, but you're going to die in 18 years, so let it go. I don't want that little voice in my head.
I'm okay with the 18 years. I'm okay if it's down the line 18 years.
Yeah, but now it's just like, you don't even think about it. But then
if it's a week, I'll be like, okay, Tom, just hold it, just let it go.
I don't know. I just think that sometimes in your life you don't want to not sweat the small stuff. Sometimes you do want to sweat the small stuff and just be angry. And
I only sweat small stuff.
Well, exactly. And people are like, oh, don't sweat the small stuff. I'm like, yeah, but I just want to be mad in this moment, so just let me. And I think if I
don't have big stuff to sweat over. That's my issue. My life's very dull. That's why I sweat over small stuff. You haven't replied for 12 hours. I'm sweating.
I'm mad. So I think if I knew that when I was going to die, I think it would just always be a little voice in my head like, don't be mad at them because you're going to die soon. I don't need that. I just want to live my life and be genuine and
let me be petty if I want to be petty.
Exactly. So that's a massive reason. I know that's a really weird reason, but that is a massive reason for me as to why I wouldn't want to know when I die. But luckily for us, well, not luckily for us, but swinging in our direction again of our line of thoughts, 87% of you guys said that you would rather not know how and when you'll die, but still 13% of you.
I think if someone told me I had the choice, I think curiosity might get the best of me.
Really? Someone said, right here in this box, Tom.
Yeah.
It's the answer to how you're going to die and the number of days, minutes, hours, seconds.
I think a little part of me would be like, that's really cool, because what happens if it's tomorrow?
Why is that cool? That's absolutely terrifying.
Well, it's not necessarily cool.
That's pure terror.
But it would be like, it would be good to know if it's tomorrow.
Why would that be good to know?
So I can say goodbye to people.
And you spend your last few hours on Earth
saying goodbye to people. I'm okay with that.
Absolutely horrified.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I'm not sure. I think I'd rather just not have the stress.
But I think if someone said, Tom, here is the box where you find out, and I'm like, oh, God, I don't want to look in, but I want to look in. It's like when someone goes, oh, that's gross. You don't want to look because you know your response is going to be, oh, it's gross. But also you're like, is it really that gross? And you go, I shouldn't have looked. That type of thing.
I don't know. I don't think anyone can really say how they're going to react to being told that they've got a number of days or years left, because that is sometimes what people have. Well, a lot of people eventually get a certificate report saying you've got this amount of time left, estimation. I don't know how I would deal with that. I think, there's so much to talk about with this topic. Maybe we need to do a part 2 on a later episode.
Tweet us if you want a part 2. We are audiobox.
We can continue the conversation about death and our thoughts and feelings on it over on our Instagram at We Are Audiobox or Twitter on at We Are Audiobox. And yeah, if you're interested, if you want us to do a part 2 on this, then let us know, because death is an awkward topic, but it becomes less scary, and it's actually really interesting to hear other people's thoughts on it, because it's not something that you bring up in conversation, is it?
Hey, have you had any trauma from a death? Nice. No, it doesn't quite roll off the tongue.
Exactly. So it's actually kind of refreshing to talk about it so openly without any judgment or fear on treading on eggshells around people. So yeah, let us know. But this has been fun. I've enjoyed this.
Has it been therapeutic?
Yeah, it's been fun talking about death for once. It's not usually a fun topic, is it?
Well, that's great. If the Tune Squad want a part 2, we'll make a part 2.
Yeah.
So tweet us or DM us on Instagram or Twitter. Both handles the same. We are AudioBox. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us for another great episode of What Happens to Toby Before You Adult. Thank you very much for joining us. Anya, thank you for turning up today.
When do I never turn up? Whenever
Oh, she's late to every recording.
My attendance is impeccable. I have never not... Wait.
Season 2. All of season 2 she was absent.
Missed an episode.
All of season 2 she was absent because she was in Australia. But thank you, Tune Squads, for listening. We'll be back with another great episode next week. Do join us because we'll be waiting. We'll be around.
Wait for you to turn up now.
Every time I just kind of run out of a sentence, and it's always this part. I just run out and I go, I just spoke for 30 minutes. I don't know how to carry on functioning.
You're on a roll.
But thank you very much for listening, guys. We'll be back next week for another great episode. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, kids.
Bye-bye.